So we're reading from Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 4, text 34. Tavvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam Jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Tat, that knowledge of different sacrifices. Viti, try to understand. Paripatena, by approaching a spiritual master. Pariprashnena, by submissive inquiries. Sevaya, by the rendering of service. Upadekshanti, they will initiate. Te, you. Jnanam, unto knowledge. Jnanina, the self-realized. Tattva, of the truth. Darshina, seers. Translation: just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Purport: the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. Bhagavatam 16:19 says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. Mukam karoti vachalam mangam langate girim yakipantamam bande shi gurum chiracharinam Om Jnana Timirandasya Garanjara Shakaya Chakshu Viditam Yena Tasmai Shivare Namah. So, we are following a difficult path. We're declaring war against the material energy, and we cannot do it alone. We need help. We have to go to the spiritual master. So this purport, Prabhupada explains who is a spiritual master. He's in the line of disciplic succession. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master unless he's in disciplic succession. So before I became a devotee of Krishna, I was searching for a guru, and I was trying to follow many different gurus. I was doing whatever they would say. But the problem was they were not in disciplic succession. So they could not help me. They would promise so many things. One guru said, after 6 months you'll be liberated, or even God, perhaps. But no, it didn't work. So, no, that is not the qualification. He has to be in the disciplic succession, then he can give the message of the Lord as it is. So many people are manufacturing their own process. Prabhupada condemns this in the purport, that the path of religion is given by the Lord himself. And that's why we have to have it as it is. It's coming from Krishna, he's telling us what to do, and the Guru is passing it on to us. And we cannot have independent study of books of knowledge. Just like if Prabhupada gave the example, if you want to be a doctor, you can't just study the books on how to be a doctor and then become a doctor. You have to go and learn from others who are practicing. You have to practice. So the same in spiritual knowledge. People think, well, in spiritual knowledge I can be my own guru, or I don't need a guru. But actually, you need more of a guru in the spiritual knowledge even than you do to learn how to become a doctor. So the qualification of the guru, what is the qualification of the disciple? 3 qualifications: submission, service, and inquiries. Unless we are submissive and we have the service attitude, then it won't work. We won't get the result. So here also, blind following is condemned, and absurd inquiries. What is blind following? Prabhupada explained in a lecture. People see, oh, this Swami has so many thousands, let me also become his disciple. Without any knowledge, they just go and they say, okay, let me follow him. He's doing some magic. Maybe he will give me some money. He can create money for me. And so they go to Guru for so many reasons. They want blessings. They want material blessings, so they go to Guru. So one time Prabhupada was traveling in a train in first class compartment with his sannyasi disciples. And one Indian gentleman came into the car and said, Maharaj, please give me your blessings. So Srila Prabhupada said, sure, you become like them. And he pointed to the sannyasis. And then the man made a quick exit, said, oh, no, it's okay, Swamiji. Those blessings I don't want. My daughter is sick, please make her well. So this is why they go to Guru. Blind following. Absurd inquiry means crazy questions. Prabhupada gave an example of a crazy question. Can you show me God? That's a crazy question. And some cheating gurus trick the people and say, yes, I will show you. And they believe they see a white light, and then they think, oh, I've seen God. This must be God. So absurd inquiries. Suppose you go to a professor in university and you say, can you make me an MA without studying, without anything? Just give me your blessings to be MA. No. But if he says, yeah, sure, I'll make you MA, then isn't he a fool? And you're also a fool for believing him. That you can just be MA without studying. And so people think in spiritual life they don't have to do the work. They don't have to follow any austerities or rules or regulations, and they can just get liberation. So this is absurd inquiries, blind following. So how to surrender? We have to serve, sevaya. Sevaya means we must try to repay the spiritual master for what he has given us. Prithu Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, he was getting enlightenment from the 4 Kumaras, and he wanted to offer them some dakshina. He wanted to repay them. But he said, what can I give you? I am enjoying this kingdom just by the mercy of you Brahmanas. It is your remnants that I'm chewing. So what can I actually give to you? Nothing is mine, it's all yours already. And so the disciple thinks whatever I get, it's by the mercy of Guru. So how can I repay him? Therefore I surrender to you. Use me in any way you like. So Shuddhakirti was telling how he had to surrender to Srila Prabhupada on the first day of his service with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was in New Vrindavan, and he had to go use the bathroom, but there was no bathroom. They were going to the fields. So Prabhupada said, bring me my lota. And he brought his lota, and then Prabhupada went to the forest. He came back, he said, okay, now clean my lota. So this was the service. He had whatever. And then he came back to the room, and he was sitting and waiting, and Prabhupada rang his bell for him to come to him. Shuddhakirti was supposed to come as soon as he hears the bell ring. And he said, okay, Srila Prabhupada, what can I do for you? And Prabhupada said, it's okay, I just want to see how fast you came. So, anyway, that's the disciple. He's just ready to do whatever. Even if the Guru just wants to see how fast he is, he will do that service for him. So the Guru is also Tattvadarshi, Shastra Chaksha. He sees through the scriptures. He sees through Parampara. And so Prabhupada in one purport in Bhagavatam said that following the instructions of the spiritual master is the same as seeing Krishna. And so when somebody asked Prabhupada, are your disciples pure devotees? Prabhupada said, if they're following, then they are pure devotees. But myself, I'm not a pure devotee. He said, I'm not, because my only qualification is, I'm not perfect, I'm not pure, my qualification is, I'm simply trying to follow instruction of my spiritual master. So in Bhagavatam, 16th chapter, 1st canto, intense service of the Lord, one can experience the presence of the Lord transcendentally. So seeing the Lord means being engaged in his service, because his service and his person are identical. So service is so important. Service is the essence, sevaya, pranipatena, submission, also inquiries, pariprashnena, and sevaya. And so when Srila Prabhupada was here in Vrindavan, it was like the rainy season again. As you see today, there's like puddles here and there. And one devotee who's here, he's here now, Vishal Prabhu. Maybe some of you have met him. Very enthusiastic book distributor. And when Prabhupada was here, Prabhupada used to go out on his morning walk, and Vishal would stand at the gate and he would recite prayers to the spiritual master when Prabhupada will go out. So one time he was reciting his prayers and Prabhupada stopped him. He said, do something practical, clean up that water. And so sevaya, service is very important. By service we can understand, as this purport says, we can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so if we serve the spiritual master, what happens? What can we expect to get? We will get knowledge. We will get knowledge. And what is that knowledge? All living beings are part of Krishna. They are in me, Krishna says, and they are mine. They are my parts and parcels. Part means they're part of me. Parcel means they belong to me. They are separate also. Simultaneously one and separate. And this knowledge you will get when you serve the Guru. And once you get the knowledge, then you will be on a very wonderful boat. As the verses tell her, even if you are considered the most sinful of all sinners, when you're situated in a boat of transcendental knowledge, you'll be able to cross the ocean of miseries. So let's hear a little bit more about this knowledge. There is an ancient story about a king of Iran. He got a book containing a secret to raise the dead. with elixir, nectar of immortality made of herbs and trees from the high mountains of India, from the Himalayas. So there's this book, had a secret formula for the nectar of immortality. So the king sent his chief minister to India to look for these herbs. He looked everywhere. With the help of wise sages, he could not find anything. And then he found one famous sage who had also searched for these herbs. And he discovered that the nectar described in the book was an allegory. An allegory. The high mountains were the wise men of high intelligence. The trees and herbs were their writings. So, the wisdom, the knowledge taken from their writings is the nectar of life, of immortality, that can revive the dead intelligence of ignorant men. So here is our nectar of immortality, Bhagavad-Gita. If we read this book, we can wake up our dead intelligence and we can become alive again. Wake up, sleeping souls, Lord Chaitanya says. So when we get this knowledge, what do we do with it? We preach. 1966, on 2nd Avenue, Prabhupada was looking at all the hippies and saying, we require thousands of spiritual masters who have understood this Krishna science to preach all over the world. So we have formed this society. We invite all sincere souls to take part in this society and go out and preach. So Prabhupada has said, if you want to repay me, then you will preach. So now we're in this boat. What is this boat made of? It's the lotus feet of Krishna. That's what we're sailing in. Now with this knowledge, the Guru is the captain, and we're sailing in the lotus feet of Krishna. Lord Brahma describes this boat of knowledge, the lotus feet of Krishna, samashitaye padapalavaplavam mahat padam punya yasho marare bhavam buddhir vatsa padam 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 yavi padanatesham. For one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, the ocean of this world is like the water contained in the calf's hoofprint. And Param, the place where there are no miseries, the spiritual world, is the goal, not this place where there is danger in every step. Right, so just this afternoon there was a huge shower and all of a sudden water was everywhere. I couldn't believe it. Our back was all, I opened my door, a complete flood in front of my door. The MVT was flooding and it was coming in our house, so danger at every step, very slippery. You could not walk actually without falling. And so this is, you never know. I had a little nap and when I woke up it was all flooded. I wasn't expecting that. But that's the nature of this world. At any moment something can happen and our life will change. We'll be faced with difficulties. We have to be careful. We have to turn to Krishna. And so how do the acharyas, it's described again in 2nd chapter, Prayers of Demigods, that they use the boat of Krishna's lotus feet to cross this ocean of nescience, but they leave the boat behind on earth. The method by which they cross. And so they're so merciful. How do they leave the method? The boat is the method of Krishna consciousness. It's the lotus feet of Krishna taking shelter. And the Guru, he must find the means according to time, place, and circumstance, how you can do some service for Krishna. After wandering throughout the universe, a very fortunate person in this world takes shelter of Guru. So everybody in this room is very fortunate. We have come to Guru. So we are one of those fortunate people, but now we've taken shelter, now we have to also practice. As this morning's Bhagavatam class was about practice, because Gajendra practiced in his last life, it was not lost. Whatever practice we do now, today, every second, every moment of the day, whatever little bit we remember Krishna, we chant Hare Krishna, that will not be lost. that will go to our eternal credit. And so, if we just follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, follow the 4 regulative principles, and practice Krishna consciousness, then we will stay on the boat. We will stay afloat in the flood of monsoon, Vrindavan. Narottam Das Thakur says, Tader chana sevi bhakta shanivash, janame janame hoy e avilas. That I worship the lotus feet of Guru, and I want to live in the society of devotees. Then I'll be able to cross over this ocean of nations. So Vyasadeva, he is our original spiritual master, Adi Guru, and he begins Bhagavatam with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and then he worships Krishna. He says, Dhimahi, let us meditate on Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So anyone who hears Bhagavatam attentively and submissively, Krishna becomes captured in the heart. This is the benediction given by Vyasadeva. So we have to be submissive, attentive in hearing, and this is the process of parampara. Now we're getting this Bhagavad-Gita from, as it is, from Srila Prabhupada, and we can be sure that we will go back to home, back to Godhead, just by hearing submissively. So the mercy is coming down. This is part of the mercy. This Bhagavad-Gita is the mercy coming down from Vyasadeva to Srila Prabhupada, to us. And then when we chant, when we hear, when we worship, that goes up through Srila Prabhupada, to the Acharyas, up to Krishna. So there's, this parampara is like a line that goes up and down. Mercy comes down, worship goes up. We do our worship, it goes up to Krishna, and mercy is coming down to us. So Prabhupada explained that this word Dhimahi in Srimad Bhagavatam, we meditate on Krishna. Vyasadeva is including all of us in his meditation. Let us all meditate. Let us all meditate on Krishna. One time Prabhupada was in one city in India. I can't just remember that city right now. And it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's parents' day, and he was offering flowers. And he said, now we are going to do this together. We will offer flowers together, Sagoshti, with the family. With the family, we'll all, so we are one family here, ISKCON. We all offer together. Prabhupada is taking all of us and including us in his worship. Of course, that's if we listen to him. If we read his books, if we hear his purports, then he will take us. He will take us with him back to Krishna Loka. So just like we see here in the temple in Vrindavan, sometimes we see one lady come, Indian lady, she has many children, maybe one child here, one child there, one on the back. She offers obeisance, all the children go down too. So we are like that little children of Prabhupada and Vyasadeva. Prabhupada offers obeisance, we also go down with him and offer obeisance. But we have to stick with him. We have to be with Prabhupada. We have to read his books. We have to pray to him. We have to offer our Guru Puja to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, he was different from all the other gurus who came to the West. What was the difference? He brought this Vaishnava training, this Vaishnava culture from India. It was locked up. Nobody had, there was no Bhagavatam. There was many Bhagavad-Gitas, but nobody became a devotee of Krishna by reading those Bhagavad-Gitas. Only when this Gita came, then Vaishnavas started to be born. And so that was Prabhupada's special gift. Lord Chaitanya, he preached all over India before Krishna came 5,000 years ago, and he brought prema, but it was locked up. Lord Chaitanya opened up the treasure house of prema, he ate, and he distributed the contents. But after Lord Chaitanya left, it was still locked up in India. So Prabhupada came, he took the treasure house of Prema, he opened it up, he ate it, and he distributed it all over the world. And that's what's special about Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada gave us the message of Lord Krishna without change. Many sannyasis went to the Western countries before Srila Prabhupada, but no one became a devotee. One time Prabhupada, before he went, one Swamiji gave Prabhupada some advice. You're going to a foreign country, you don't know how to use the fork and the knife when you eat your food. Prabhupada said, I'm not going to learn all these things. I'm going to teach them something else to forget this. And so that was Prabhupada. He made us forget how to eat with the fork and the knife. And that was funny. One of our Gurukul children who was born in Vrindavan, she went to visit her grandmother. And her grandmother was saying, you know, how can you eat everything without spoon and fork and knife? And she said, yes, I was trained like that. So then she said, okay, let me see you eat ice cream without fork and knife, without spoon. So she had to surrender to eating ice cream with a spoon. Anyway, but we are following Srila Prabhupada. And he said, if there's any credit, it's that I did not change the words of my spiritual master. And I just try to say the same words without change. And so that's what Prabhupada said. Sometimes people give me so much honor. Swamiji, you have created wonderful. Prabhupada said, what have I done? I'm not a magician. I'm just giving Bhagavad-Gita as it is. This is my only credit. So we need to also follow Srila Prabhupada, give Bhagavad-Gita as it is, try to be an example of the teachings of Bhagavad-Gita, try to chant our Hare Krishna mantra, our rounds with attention, hear Bhagavatam, hear Gita with submission, and also have questions. So we'll stop here if there's any questions. And now is the time for inquiries into spiritual knowledge. Lots of time for questions. No questions? Yes? Tell something about Prabhupada. My experience with Srila Prabhupada was from, he was here on the planet until 1977. So I joined this movement in 1970 in Boston. And first time I met Prabhupada was in Florida, 71. And he at the airport in Gainesville, probably. And I just started to follow Prabhupada from behind. And the first meeting I understood, this is where I belong. I couldn't find any place in the material world where I belonged before. I was in the school and I was thinking, when I was 10 years old, I was looking at the children, I was thinking, I'm not one of them. I don't belong here. I don't belong, these children, I am not American. I don't know where I'm from. Maybe I'm from another country, maybe I'm from another planet. But one thing I know is I'm not from here. I'm not American. I understood that. But then and so many things, college, so many things, I never felt like I belonged there. Then finally I started following Prabhupada at the airport. Okay, here's where I belong. I can follow him the rest of my life. Finally I found a place. And I got initiated. I got a letter in the mail, because before we used to have to, we didn't have beads from India. We had to make our own beads, go and buy some like that, wooden beads, and string them ourselves and send them. I sent my beads to India. Prabhupada was in India, and a letter I sent with a letter that please initiate me, and I quoted from Bhagavatam, 2nd canto. If you don't get the dust of the lotus feet of the spiritual master, a pure devotee, then you're like a dead body. So I quoted that. I said, if you don't initiate me, I'm like a dead body. Please initiate me. And so he chanted on my beads. He sent them back with a letter. And in the letter, he gave me 6 instructions. He said, you should chant at least 16 rounds, follow strictly the 4 regulative principles, deity worship, sankirtan, preaching, study all my books. So those I have been doing in my life. And the 6th one still to come, 24 hours be engaged in Krishna consciousness, bhajan. So that is yet to come. So then Prabhupada after then he sent me a 2nd letter, how to do these instructions, with what attitude, because attitude is very important, spiritual life. Your advancement is due to your attitude. So he told me 3 things important in attitude, that is sincerity, enthusiasm, and cooperation with the other devotees. So then Prabhupada in 1972, he sent a letter to all the temples requesting 50 devotees to come to India to help with the projects. So my husband and I, we were chosen from our temple to go to India. And we went to New York from Dallas, Texas, maybe hitchhiking, I'm not sure. That was our means of transportation in those days, just go on the road and hitchhike. So we got to New York, and then we collected for our ticket to India, one-way ticket, because Prabhupada said go. He didn't say go back. And so far I didn't go back yet. I go for preaching, but I live here still in India since 1972. So Prabhupada, when I was in India, I came to Vrindavan in 1972. Prabhupada was lecturing in Nectar of Devotion at Radha Damodar Temple. And he was trying to convince the Brijbasis that we are Vaishnavas, although we are in the Western body. He was trying to convince them, and he was using the authority of Nectar of Devotion, where Rupa Goswami says that every human being has the right to do devotional service to Krishna. So he was trying to convince them, and some of them accepted, a few of them accepted. So then he called me in one darshan. He said to me, so my sister tells me you speak Bhagavatam very nicely. And I was puzzled because I never spoke Bhagavatam, what to speak of nicely. So then we went, I was trying to remember when Prabhupada's sister heard me, then I remembered, oh, it was Janamashtami day. And on Janamashtami we have the tradition in all our temples that we had to read Krishna book from morning till night, take turns. So my turn came. I was reading Krishna book, Ras Leela. Krishna left the gopis, and she was sitting in front of me listening, and she only knows Bengali, no English. I was reading in English. She was listening, and she was crying. And she told Prabhupada she speaks Bhagavatam very nicely. My Krishna book reading. But then what happened 30 years later, I started speaking Bhagavatam, teaching Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Vedanta courses. So what I understood is if a pure devotee says something, the words must come true. In other words, I got the blessing to speak Bhagavatam from Prabhupada's sister, from Prabhupada. So then I started to speak Bhagavatam. So then we were in Vrindavan. Prabhupada was sitting on his seat in Radha Damodar, one darshan. And one monkey came in and took some bananas from Prabhupada's feet and ran out the door. And Prabhupada said, just see how intelligent the monkey is. You will not dare to do that. He said, but don't be intelligent for eating. Don't be like the monkey. So, yeah, and I heard that Prabhupada was speaking to the monkey also in the monkey language. Jamuna tells the story that one time one monkey was coming every day to disturb and coming for prasadam. So one day Jamuna was not there, but then she came and she saw Prabhupada was talking to the monkey in monkey language. And then she asked Prabhupada after the monkey left, and the monkey was looking like this. What's going on? And then Prabhupada, she asked Prabhupada, what did you tell the monkey? And Prabhupada said, I told her to go away and don't disturb. So she never came back after that. She used to come every day for prasadam. But after Prabhupada talked with the monkey, she didn't come back. So it's interesting because we were reading the qualities of Krishna. Krishna is fluent in all languages, even the languages of the animals, the birds, and he can speak the languages of the animals. And so Prabhupada also had this quality that he could speak the language of the animals, the monkeys. Maybe he learned from Krishna this monkey language. Anyway, so when I was Pujari in Calcutta, I had to do 4 artis every day. Mangal arti, 12 o'clock arti, 4 o'clock arti, Sandhya arti, dressing morning, night, many artis every day. One time I was doing Mangal arti and I turned around to offer the ghee lamp and there was Prabhupada right behind me. In our Calcutta temple, I was in Calcutta temple, Calcutta Pujari, in Calcutta temple. And there was no division, only one small chain behind. And Prabhupada was right there behind me, watching. And I was very nervous, and I was very focused. And I was really, I didn't know, should I offer Prabhupada the ghee lamp or should I do puja? What should I do? So I think I did fast puja and then I offered him the ghee lamp. And then afterwards I thought, yeah, I should do all my service like that. Prabhupada is standing behind me watching me do my service. Then I will do nicely my service. So another time we had Radha Govinda and Jagannath deities, Gaur Radha Govinda, Gauranga Radha Govinda and Jagannath, 2 altars. And behind the altar there was an open window. And every day the bees were coming to the deities. We had so many flowers. One man was donating 50 garlands every day. 50. I was changing the flowers 5 times a day, changing. I was buying 144 lotus flowers every day, 144 roses every day. Amazing and beautiful garland, all different kind, 4 kind of champa, gardenia, rose, dewy, all kinds of garlands we had. So the bees were coming every day. And Radha Govinda's altar, 2 big bumblebees were coming. And they would go around Radha Govinda and then they would go in the lotus flower inside, big lotus like this, open lotuses. And on Jagannath's altar, small bees would come and they would sit on the garlands whole day, just sitting. So I was reading Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, and it says the bees sit on the garlands. I said, yeah, we have Vaikuntha here, and we have Goloka where the bumblebees are coming, the big ones. So we had one side Goloka, one side Vaikuntha. Different bees. And Prabhupada said, if the bees are coming to the deities, that means the deities are pleased with the seva. So we had the bees, and Krishna was happy because he got so many flowers every day. So then in Calcutta, Prabhupada came one time, and his Sanskrit editor Pradyumna said, he knew I know how to do typing. So he said, would you like to come with Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada is translating Chaitanya Charitamrita. I said, yes. He said, okay, you just have to learn to read Bengali, and we are leaving tomorrow. So he gave me the book. I learned 1-2 hours to read Bengali, and I was off with Prabhupada the next day. Mayapur. He's going to Mayapur. So I went with Prabhupada to Mayapur. I was typing, and very old typewriter, no, not electric. We didn't have electricity in those days. And we had this old manual typewriter. You have to type like this and return. This return. It was really, really difficult. And I was sitting in one room. We were living in the Lotus building, but it was under construction. It was not finished. There was no water in the bathrooms. Bathrooms were there without pipes. So we couldn't use it. But, so I was typing, I had these earphones. I was listening to Prabhupada's dictaphone. And I had the big Bengali Bhagavad-Gita open. And I was typing, and I was hearing Prabhupada would say the word in Bengali. I would read in Bengali, and I would type in English letters. Like that, transliteration. So Prabhupada saw me. There was no window, it was a little hole in the wall. And he was walking on the veranda, and he looked inside the hole in the wall. And he said, oh, you know Bengali? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. I didn't know Bengali, I just learned how to read a little bit. He said, oh, come to my room. So I went to his room. You know Bengali? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. So then he said, so we will you learn how to type in Bengali, and we will do many books together. So I didn't do many books together, Prabhupada's books, but then 30 years later, the words came true. I started to write books. And I've done 14, 15 books already with Prabhupada's inspiration. So his words came true 30 years later. But one thing happened, they sent one Bengali brahmachari to teach me how to type in Bengali typewriter. So I was typing on the Bengali typewriter, and then I said to the brahmachari, look, you don't look at the key, you just remember the key, and you look at the paper, and you type. Touch typing. He said, oh, now I understand what Prabhupada told me. Prabhupada told me, you teach her, and you learn from her also. So I was teaching him touch typing on the Bengali typewriter. So yeah, more experiences were there. I went on a morning walk with Prabhupada in Juhu, Bombay. And I was 20-something, Prabhupada was 70-something, and Prabhupada was walking so fast. And I could not keep up. I was trying to figure out, how does he walk so fast? How is it possible? I could never figure out. So I was trying to understand Prabhupada. He would come and give class, we would look at him, and I would look and I would watch, and he didn't look like he was part of this world. He never looked like he was part of this world. He looked like he was like a movie. Like a movie. When we were trying to look, I was trying to understand. He's here, he's somewhere else, where is he coming from? Cannot understand. Cannot understand by your mind, by your intelligence, only by devotional service. Can you understand? Spiritual master. So, yeah, many experiences. We had some experiences anyway. So, I'll stop here. Yeah, you have a question? Microphone.
2 days before I heard a class from a Mataji regarding the text number 32.
32.
32. The three types of yajna. Bhagavad-Gita yajna, Brahmana, Karma, Jnana, is there. When she narrated that sloka, she said one statement: getting sannyasi is material. Because not like getting sannyasi nowadays is very opulent. So she expressed her view: getting sannyasi is material. So how can I understand this?
Well, in one sense, sannyasa is material because it's part of the varnashram system. And that uses your material body in a way for elevation in spiritual life. But the way Srila Prabhupada taught sannyas is spiritual. That body, mind and words in the service of Krishna. So that is real sannyas. Real sannyas is spiritual. But there are many sannyasis who are not devotees and they are not so spiritual. They are not so spiritual. In one Kumbh Mela, there was one sannyasi with big hair, so many. And he was begging. And some money dropped and he went down and his hair fell off. It was a wig. So that one example, bogus, yeah. So everything in this world can be material or it can be spiritual if we use it for Krishna. So sannyas can be material or sannyas can be spiritual. If you use your body, mind and words for Krishna, then sannyas is spiritual. Just like Kshatriya Dharma, Arjuna is Kshatriya, and Krishna said, you do your Kshatriya, but you make it spiritual. You do it for me. If you do for me, it becomes spiritual. You do for Krishna, not me, Krishna. You do for Krishna, Krishna says, then it becomes spiritual. Then you will go back to home, back to Godhead. You will go to the spiritual world. You will not come back here again if you do for me. And so everything can be done in material mentality or it can be done in spiritual mentality. And that is our choice. So we are not sannyasi, we are something else. You are whatever, I don't know. You are brahmachari or something, I don't know. So you must do it for Krishna. Don't be materialistic brahmachari. Be spiritual brahmachari. Whatever your position in varnashram, you have the choice. You can do it material, take the fruit, or you can do it spiritual, give the fruit to Krishna. That's your choice. That is our free will. Okay, any other question? Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.